Hey everybody. Welcome back. I'm going to do a little video right now, just a market recap, a little bit of a prediction. Now, I want to remind everybody that I called this top here. I know I hate it when I go on to trading videos and people say, "Oh my God, I did this and I did that." And what they forget to tell you is they call the top here and they call the top here and they call the top here. But if you go back and you check my Stock Twits page, and that's one of the reasons why I love Stock Twits, I think it's actually pretty annoying most of the time. But if you go back and read, I don't make a lot of trade calls, but the ones I do, I'm batting well over 90% success rate on them. If you go back, you'll see I actually did call that top. I didn't call it here. I didn't call it here. I called it right there. Now I'm going to make another bold prediction right now, and that is I'm going to say this will be a double top. Um, right now, I do see the market potentially, and I'm not talking about tomorrow. Okay, I got lucky here. We had a massive correction in several days. I'm talking about a slow grind down between now and December to test this liquidity here, and ultimately this liquidity here, possibly 255. Now, what are the reasons for that? Well, a couple reasons. Um, I'm seeing generally an overall downtrending trend to all of the data. And we take a look here, we can see here again, downtrending, unemployment change, right? Manufacturing, we can take a look here again. This isn't as obvious, but it is downtrending, right? We're talking about construction spending. This one's all over the place, but certainly not booming. In order for the economy to be booming, you want to be seeing, see this right here. You want to see a lot of positive zero numbers, not back and forth like this. And again, 1, 2 here. This was a good sign. This was good, but lately that's not been so great. Crude oil, really nothing. Again, total vehicle sales down, trending, right? Now, the big reason why I believe the market is going to have a move down is because I do believe that the Fed will have no choice but to do 4 rate hikes this year. And if we tie that into quantitative tightening, we're going to have a flood of liquidity on the bond market. So I think the bond market is going to be, a major problem. So again, we'll go through some other things here. One thing that's really important is if you want to keep an eye on the trade balances between Canada and the U.S., Mexico and the U.S., and China and the U.S. Now, you'll notice during the whole bubble here that Canada was running a negative trade balance to the U.S. Now, what does that mean? That means we were selling a tremendous lot of goods to the United States, right? Now, why is that a good thing? Well, contrary to Trump logic, which I don't know exactly, what that logic is, but in the real world, when your number one trading partner is selling you a lot of stuff, that's really good. It's good because it means that, think about it. If let's say you lived, on a street, and at the end of the street there was a grocery store, and if the grocery store was selling you a lot of stuff, that means you got a lot of money to buy it. Right? If the grocery store isn't selling you a lot of stuff, it means you don't have very much money to buy stuff. So, I don't understand this whole craziness that, the POTUS thinks that negative trade balances are a bad thing because Yeah, I guess he doesn't buy food at grocery stores. So, anyways, this is declining. Again, this is going on a decline. And that's primarily because of tariffs. So, the argument is supposed to be, well, yeah, we don't want to buy from the grocery store. We just want to make it in our own house. Okay, that's great. But the numbers are all downtrending. So if you're making it in your own house, why isn't this number particularly uptrending? Now you can argue it's strong, and I'm not saying it's not strong. It's definitely strong, right? But this number here and other numbers like it should be really strong if you're cutting out the grocery store. Should be really strong. It is pretty strong, but you're talking about billions and billions and billions of dollars in tariffs right now. That number should be a lot stronger is my whole point. So if you go on and continue here, I do believe we're going to get 4 rate hikes, which means expensive money. I also believe quantitative tightening. If we look at inflation, yeah, really not to tell too much to tell by consumer inflation. It's been spiky. You can see it's been a little bit more on the positive sign, meaning that the cost of goods are getting much higher. So, core retail sales. Take a quick look at that. Yeah, it's not bad, it's not horrible, but again, I don't see again, if you're not buying from your major trade partner, right? You got to be buying from somewhere else, and they're not, right? That's what I see. People could argue with me. Consumer price index, we already talked about that. So generally, my take is this. My take is that let's look at core durable good orders again. I don't see anything revolutionary here. Where's all the tax money? Where's all the people buying stuff internally from the country from companies inside the country that they're no longer buying from China, Mexico, and Canada? Where is it all? This should be stimulated. That's Trump's argument, that if we stop buying from the grocery store, then we'll start manufacturing and making our own stuff. But I don't see it, right? So I think it's going to be a very failed. And look at even preliminary GDP, which, look at this, GDP's contracting. I know it's preliminary, but it's still contracting. There's nothing revolutionary here. So I think these valuations are like really super lofty. And I think if we also take a quick look here, going back to, let's look at the last, now we're coming up to the primaries, right, the midterms. Let's see what happened last time we were going into an election. Kind of looks very familiar, doesn't it? Big spike down, big rally back up. Big bad spike down, right? This is actually the way it looked. September. There, that's what it looked like, right? We had a big spike down, we rallied back up, and then boom, boom, and then here we went up right until November. Kind of looks a lot like right now, doesn't it? And then bam, bam, bam. Again, so I'm kind of expecting something similar to that to happen, because I also think that I think that this whole Cohen thing is, I personally think that, I really don't, I'm not going to bash Donald Trump, I think the guy's a numpty, and I think his logic is flawed, but I think he's trying to do what he thinks is best for the country. How is he different than any other politician? Right? I mean, I got a politician in my country that likes to, dance with dresses on and put makeup on. We're talking about Trudeau and his trip to India. Like every politician in the world is the same. Some are just a lot more dangerous than others. So I think Trump's logic is flawed. I don't think that internal growth is going to do anything. I'm certainly not seeing it after 2 years. It's not there. There was an initial spike from all the tax money, but there's no follow through to it. So I think we're going to see a very similar thing happen that we did last election. I know these are just midterms, but they're really big and they're really important. And I think this whole thing with Cohen is real, right? I think breaking campaign finance law is not a joking matter. It's one thing to have an affair with a porn star. Who cares? It's personal. It's your life. Do whatever you want, right? He shouldn't. That doesn't make him a bad president. But breaking campaign finance law is another story. And Cohen has come out and said that he did everything intentionally for Trump's election, which in my view, and again, please don't quote me, I'm no political expert, that is breaking campaign finance law. And I think that ultimately, especially if he loses in November, I think that it's going to be really, really, really ugly. And I do think the markets are going to correct. Are they going to correct because Trump isn't in office? No. They're going to correct because they're way overvalued and the fundamentals are weakening. And I think the damage that was done based upon policy is going to ultimately play out and be the Achilles heel that brings down this ultimate bull run. And ultimately what I really think is going to be the real thing is just quantitative tightening, right? I mean, we have trillions and trillions of dollars of assets going to be flooding the market with liquidity. And also, we're talking about tightening, so money supply is not going to be as strong as it was. And that, if you combine that with asset valuations, I think this is going to be the first stop. But I do think we are going to retest 219 probably within 2 to 3 years. I could be wrong. It could happen. When I called this top here, I didn't think it was going to happen that fast, but I am calling this top right here. And I do think even if it goes up and spikes up a little bit, I don't think it's going to stay there. Okay, thank you. Long-winded story. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Just quickly, I had another big winner that I posted in StockTwits. I'm the only guy that does this, CTRN. Let's talk about it really quickly because I just crushed this again. Another great earnings trade for me. Order flow, guys. My students, just look at this order flow. I mean, if this was a 1-minute chart, what would you be doing? Easy breezy trade, put it together with a little bit of fundamentals, and bam. I did have one failed trade. I'll tell you quickly about it. MyGen, right? This one I was had puts going into earnings. Looked pretty realistic. But here's the thing. I still have September puts on it. So the trade may ultimately end up turning out and working out for me. So there you have it. Good, bad, ugly. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, just quickly, my trade on the spider. I don't want everybody jumping out and buying puts tomorrow for December. I actually own January 268s, 265s, and 260s. All cheap Januaries, okay? Because I'm giving myself a lot of time to that. I'm also short on some puts, some futures right now with some small size. Okay, there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm calling it again, another top. I was right this time. Let's see if I'm right again. Bye for now.